I'm going to do a demonstration here of the Longacre tire gauge. It's 0 to 60 PSI by 1/2 pound increments. It's their number 52-52002, and it is liquid filled. So I'm getting my Kubota lawnmower ready for the new season, and I was checking the air pressures in my in the tires of the Kubota. And this gauge is liquid filled. Now, as per the directions, it says why this gauge is not completely full. If it were completely filled up to the top, it would become hypersensitive to even slight temperature changes. So you can see the oil moving in there. The small air pocket compensates for these small temperature changes. Use the equalizer knob on the top to compensate for larger changes. The air pocket has no effect on the accuracy of the gauge. All liquid-filled gauges have this air pocket. And this is the compensating valve they're talking about. It says, before use, loosen the knob on top of gauge 1/4 turn, then hand retighten. This will equalize the internal pressure to maintain the gauge's accuracy. If any liquid-filled gauge is not equalized, the accuracy will be compromised. It could only be a fraction of a PSI, or it could be much more. Note, there is no such thing as interior diaphragm that automatically adjusts, as some manufacturers claim. This is a fallacy. Interior pressure must be equalized. And that is read right off the little piece of paper that you get from them. So to equalize it, I actually called the company, spoke to a gentleman. He said when you're using it at the beginning of each day, or if the barometric pressure changes throughout the day, you simply just turn this knob like that. It does have an O-ring seal underneath, and then just hand tighten it down, and then you can go ahead and take your tire pressure reading. Okay, so we're gonna check the air pressure in this tire. Now, the rear wheel on this Kubota, it's a BX 2380. The spec on the tire says 30 PSI. And it's reading just about 35. I intentionally put a little extra air in there. What I'm going to do is just bleed it off. You can use this knob right here. I'm going to bleed some off till it gets to about 30. Okay, then to relieve the pressure inside the gauge, obviously just push that button again, return it to 0. So let's check the tire pressure again. Should be 30. And just a hair more, no big deal, about 30.5 PSI. This end does swivel. Allows you to get into areas. The length of this hose, if you go from this crimp here to the crimp there, is right around 16 inches. The workmanship of the gauge is very nice. Appears to be all quality materials. And nice rubber covering here around the gauge. You can get a really nice grip on this thing. Now, I have found that the gauge does hold its air pretty decent, and it doesn't fall off. One thing I do want to mention is I did ask the gentleman there at Longacre about could this liquid material freeze, and he said it could, because I was going to buy an extra one just to keep in my car, and obviously I live in an area in the winter when it does get cold and gets below freezing. He said it is filled with a high grade food grade, it's a high food grade mineral oil, and he said it could freeze.